Welcome back to the YouTube channel, you all. So today what we're going to be talking about is the 10 crucial things that every drummer should be bringing to their gig. And we're not going to be talking about the common ones, your drumsticks, your drum set, your cymbals. What we're going to be talking about is the little things that most drummers forget that are very crucial and vitally crucial to surviving any gig. So I wrote down 10 different things that we're going to be talking about today, and the first thing on our list is going to be a snare weight. I'll put a link up here so you can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. A snare weight is like a moon gel or something that's going to dampen your drums. You never know when you show up to a gig, especially if it's going to be a house kit and the toms are going to be over ringy, or your snare, the size of the room, you don't know how the room sounds. It's going to be a little ring to it, and you want to dampen that snare a little bit. Snare weight is great. They snap right onto your drums. You can put them on your snare, you can put them on your toms, you can put them on pretty much any drum excluding your bass drum, and it's going to dampen the sound a little bit. So if you show up to a gig and you're like, hey, my drums don't sound the way I want them to, you could throw a snare weight on there. And the cool thing about a snare weight is you can alter how much dampness you want. If you want a full dampness, you can extend the snare weight to a full extension, and if you want just partial dampness, you can actually fold the flaps back on the snare weight and it'll give you a little bit less dampen. So you can kind of alter depending on how the drum kit sounds or the size of the room and how the kit sounds in the room. The second thing on our list today is going to be a big fat snare drum, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the snare weight. For me personally, I keep a big fat snare drum in every single one of my cases. Again, because you never know what you're going to get yourself into when you show up to a gig, and let's say there's a party or there's something else going on upstairs or the room next door. It's going to be nice to have a big fat snare drum with you that could dampen it. Not every single song or every single room you need to have a cracky snare. And if you want to have a little bit warmer tone or a damper / softer sound, it's going to be really nice to have your big fat snare drum with you. Especially if the sound guy comes to you and says, hey, is there any way we could tone this down? Again, the sound guy, as a drummer, the sound guy is going to be your best friend, right? They're the ones that make you sound good. So if they're requesting that you have a little bit softer tone, it's going to be really nice if you're able to complete that request to make the gig possible. So that's number 2 on our list today. Number 3 on our list today is going to be brushes. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I've showed up to a gig and all you bring is sticks, and again, kind of goes hand in hand with our thing number 1 and number 2 is to have brushes or hot rods or even mallets. Mallets I think you could include into that. There's been a lot of gigs I show up to that you need to play a little bit softer. You don't want to have that crack or that punch that a typical snare would have, and you need to lighten up a little bit without actually playing lighter. Sometimes the technique can change if you're playing a little bit lighter. So if you have mallets, you can get a nice warm punch on your snare or even on your toms. They sound a little bit punchier and warmer. Or hot rods, like I was saying. Brushes are a little bit softer, but if you need to lighten up a little bit, hot rods can allow you to still play with that full intensity of technique, but allowing you to not have the crack and snappiness that your typical stick would bring you. Number 4 on our list is gonna be, extra in-ears. I cannot tell you how many times I've showed up to a gig and the in-ears you have, either they're dirty and you need to clean them and you don't have time to clean them, or just simply something goes out or they quit working in the middle of the gig. Man, I've had that happen before. 5 minutes before showtime, my in-ears to stop working, and you're freaking out like, why are my in-ears not working? And you have to try to play the gig with the monitor or something that's going to compensate. And if you're not used to playing with the monitor, first off, monitors, for me personally, they're not going to save you hearing as much as in-ears. So having an extra pair of in-ears is something that's going to be super crucial in terms of being able to play the gig, forbid something comes up in the middle, especially if it's going to be 4 or 5 minutes right before showtime. So number 4 on our list is bring an extra pair of in-ears. And they don't have to be super high end. You know, if you have your primary pair, which could be something really nice, even if you have just a cheap, like a $20, $30 pair, $100 pair that you bought on Amazon, or a pair of Shure 112s or something that's gonna, they're your backup pair, right? These isn't gonna be your first pair, your primary pair that you're gonna use, but forbid something goes wrong, you're going to want to have a backup pair in your bag. Number 5 on our list today is going to be a phone holder. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I've showed up to a gig and you need to look at a note or something like that, or you're in a text thread with the rest of your band and you're trying to get something across and you can't really communicate with them. Forbid you don't have a talkback mic, where you can talk to the rest of the band on the in-ears, and you need to find a way to communicate to everybody at a rapid pace. It's going to be really nice to have your phone holder sitting right there on a stand. And if you have notes, a lot of people, especially if you're playing Nashville here down on Broadway, you're going to be learning hundreds and hundreds of cover songs. And you have to be able to learn these songs at a rapid pace. To be able to memorize all these songs, it's pretty near impossible. So you're going to be writing these songs out, and to be able to look at your charts right there on a phone stand without having a big old music stand with papers falling everywhere. Forbid the air conditioning blows your sheet of paper and now it falls off. And then to go, especially if you're playing in a dark room, sometimes you don't have a light and you can't read those notes or those charts on your cell phone here or your tablet or whatever it is. You're able to alter the visibility. If you want a bright light or you want a dim light, you can still see your charts and be able to play the gig. So number 5 on our list is going to be a phone holder. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I've needed to use my phone and you got to reach down or fumble for your phone. So number 5, bring a phone holder. Number 6 on our list is going to be a drum rug. For me, a lot of times a lot of drummers think that, oh, there'll be carpet there or there'll be something I could just set my drums on, and they don't think about actually bringing a drum rug. And there's been a few gigs that I've showed up to expecting there to be carpet or something, and you're playing on tile or something where your drum's going to be sliding everywhere, or you're playing outside in the middle of a field and it's muddy and you have nothing to put your drums on and your drums are just going to sink into the mud, right? So number 6 on our list, number 6 on our list is going to be bringing a drum rug. There's been a lot of times I've needed one and I didn't have one. So now every single gig that I go to, no matter if I think I'm going to need it or I think I may not need it, I always have it in my hardware case, folded up. It's going to be a drum rug. It doesn't have to be anything fancy either. You can just bring the simple rug that you bought from Walmart or Target. If you do happen to have an actual drum rug, with the base, a weight base on the front, that's going to prevent your bass from sliding, then that's even better, But bring some sort of small rug, even if it's a small bathroom rug, something that you can put your stuff on, because again, you never know what you're going to be getting yourself into, and you show up to a gig and forbid you don't have it. You need to be able to execute as a professional and play these gigs, so be prepared and bring a drum rug. Number 7 on the list is probably one of my favorite things that I keep with me in every single bag, in my cymbal bag, in my hardware bag. I have 4 or 5 of them. Is going to be a Kickstrap. If you don't know what a Kickstrap is, I'll post a link up here so you can check it out. As any drummer, I would encourage you investing into this stuff, man. This is something that should have been invented years ago, and we're just now seeing these on the market the last few years. And what a Kickstrap is, it's going to be something that connects to your bass pedal and it's going to connect to your drum throne. It kind of goes hand in hand with number 6, which is a rug, but forbid you have a rug and there's no weight or something to prevent your bass drum from sliding around, right? And if you're a drummer and you've played long enough, the more you play and you beat on that bass drum, the bass pedal, that bass drum is going to be walking away from you, right? So having a Kickstrap, what that does is it ties your bass drum, because your foot pedal is connected to the bass drum, it ties your bass drum to your throne, right? And with the weight of your body sitting on this throne, your bass drum isn't going to be going anywhere, right? So check it out if you haven't seen one. I would highly encourage you. They're pretty reasonable price. They're not that expensive. Again, I'll post a link up here so you can go check it out. Is a Kickstrap. Number 7 on our list. Man, I bring it to every single gig. Number 8 on our list today is going to be bringing an extra snare head. I want to start by saying if you have the luxury or the capability of bringing an extra snare, or the space in your gear, in your pack to bring an extra snare, then I would encourage bringing an extra snare, right? Because that snare is going to already be set up. You could easily do a quick change where you could just pull one snare off and put the other one on, or even just have a secondary snare set up to the left of you on the left of your hi-hat or something, Forbid that snare head breaks And if you break a head on the tom, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Just put some tape over it or something, and you'll be able to get through the gig. Or forbid a tom breaks, you typically have 1 or 2 other toms that you can still continue on playing the music, right? But if your snare breaks and the snare head on top breaks, you're kind of going to be out of luck, if you don't have something to replace that. And if you don't have the luxury of bringing a snare, or you just don't have the space, which for me, a lot of gigs that I go to, I'd say 50% of them, I don't want to be carrying in all this gear, right? Because I'm already bringing in so much gear. Just bring a backup snare head, right? It takes you about 3 to 4 minutes. If you have the right drum tool, the right drum key, you can pull that snare head off and put a new one on within a matter of seconds, right? And you don't have to get a perfect tune if you're in a pinch and you have to get something. Just tighten it up, get it to sound pretty good, and more or less in about 5 minutes or so, you can do a switch over. And the front person, the singer, they can talk to the audience. They can kind of make something work in the midst, and you can go ahead and continue on playing the gig. Again, the point of this video is to bring stuff that if forbid something goes wrong, you're going to be the professional and you're going to be prepared that if something goes wrong, you're not SOL and you can continue on playing the gig and execute like a professional. Number 9 on this list is going to be a fan. I bring a fan to almost all my gigs, especially if it's becoming hot, and if you know the Nashville weather here, when it gets hot, it gets humid, and you can barely breathe in it, right? And there's 2 things when you're gonna need a fan, especially if you're playing Broadway, Nashville. A lot of the windows are open, so the people on the street are gonna be able to hear the music. If you've ever visited Nashville, I'm sure you hear this, and you see this, that you hear music on every corner, out of every bar, of every stair, every level of every bar, there's music playing, right? And if you're playing as the drummer, you're the one closest to the window. If you're playing closest to the window, you're going to be feeling that heat and that humidity before anybody else does, right? And to go even further, if you're playing outside, man, it's going to be crucial to be able to keep yourself cool. When you're drumming, you burn through lots of calories, you're sweating, especially if you're playing a heavy set. You want to be able to keep playing and not have to stress over, man, I can't breathe, or it's so hot out here, I can't think, I'm forgetting the songs. For me personally, I bring a battery operated fan, and I'll post a link up here to the one I have. It's like 50-60 bucks at Home Depot. It's a Ryobi, it's battery operated, and it'll last 4 or 5 hours depending on what battery you have in there. And bring an extra battery too, if you have a battery operated one, bring an extra battery. Me personally, why I like going the route of a battery operated one is it clamps right onto my drum stand on my hi-hat stand, so it's not super visible. It's really small. It's like a 6-inch fan. And forbid you're playing outside, again, in the middle of a field, and you don't have any electricity access to where you can plug in your fan, you don't want to not be able to keep yourself cool. So having a battery operated fan, for me, has saved me so many times for so many gigs. Again, be the professional, show up to a gig, learn to execute like a professional, show up prepared. So number 9 on our list today is going to be bringing a fan. Number 10 on our list today is going to be an extra clutch or some extra felts, some extra lug nuts. Forbid something happens. The big ones is going to be your clutch and your felts. For me, there's been a few gigs I've showed up to, and I hate to admit it, but I've literally forgotten my clutch. And it's really tough to play a gig with the loose hi-hat, especially if you got to play a tight, crispy sound and portions of the song, like a verse or something, and you can't open up that hi-hat. You need to be able to, again, execute like a professional. So keep an extra clutch in your bag, It don't have to be a fancy clutch. My main gig on my main hi-hat stand, I have a really nice drop clutch from DW that I love. It's like $40, $50 for that clutch, right? But my backup clutch is a simple, cheap $10 clutch. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but again, bring something, forbid something was to happen in the middle of the gig. You need to learn to execute and be prepared as a professional would, right? So have a backup clutch and some felts. You never know if a wing nut's gonna pop off on a cymbal and you're fumbling, it fell on the ground, you're like, where did it go? For me personally, I like to use these things called no nuts, and they're like $20, $30. They come in a 3-pack. You can buy them at almost any music retailer online. And I'll post a link up here what they are. It's these long rubber things that screw on to your cymbal stands, And you don't need to worry about felts or wing nuts. Not only is it going to prevent this from happening, I've never had a cymbal fly off of one of these things. And I've beat them, my cymbals, and I've played hard. And I've never had to worry about a cymbal falling off. And the cool thing about them is they're really fast in setup and really fast in teardown. You don't have to sit there unscrewing a wing nut after, 2 or 3 minutes you finally got the wing nut off. You're literally able to pull that cymbal right off of the stand and throw it right into your bag. And then again, also too, these cymbals that I play on, these cymbals are $200, $300, $400, some of them. You don't want to have to destroy your cymbal because the insert piece that goes underneath in the middle of your cymbal is gone, or you lost it or something, or it broke off, and now you're going to potentially keyhole your $400 cymbal, right? So for me personally, I love these things. They're called No Nuts. Again, I'll post a link up in the description up above. You can go ahead and check these things out. Again, I do bring them to every single gig. Again, the goal here of this video is to show up prepared, learn to execute like a professional. And our bonus for this video is going to be bring a healthy snack. And I specifically mean a healthy snack. Don't bring no junk food and stuff like that. When you're playing drums, especially if it's hot outside, you're going to burn hundreds of calories potentially, depending on how long you're playing. And you never know what you're getting yourself into. Forbid you show up to a gig, the bus is running late, there's traffic, and you don't have time to get down to catering to grab some food. Or forbid catering was supposed to be ordered in, and now catering is not going to be ordered in, or it's going to be late, or in show times in 5-10 minutes. And you're like, man, I haven't ate nothing, I'm hungry, right? You want to be able to have a healthy snack in your bag, like a protein bar. For me, I like to bring a protein bar or a zero sugar Gatorade, something with some electrolytes, something that's going to help prolong me to be able to play, especially if it's a 2, 3, 4 hour gig. You want to be able to execute like a professional. So the bonus of this video today is just throw in a healthy snack, like a protein bar, something in your bag, and you'll save yourself every time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found this video useful and helpful, especially if you're living here in Nashville, or you're just a touring musician, or if you're a beginner that is wanting to take this seriously and you're like, man, I want to potentially make this a career for myself. These are some tips that you're going to use from your everyday gig, normal day-to-day life, right? So I hope you guys found some help in this video. If you did, it would really mean a lot if you guys smash that like, that thumbs up button, and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot. It shows other people and tells other people that this was great content, and it proves to the algorithm that this video should be shared to other people. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.